Imagination, innovation, and a focus on community context are key to creating ministries for non-church goers, says British Anglican priest David Male, director of the Centre for Pioneer Learning. Revd Male, in Melbourne last month to host the Pioneer Learning Intensive, said the examples set by the Fresh Expression movement in the UK demonstrated the potential of community-focused, atypical churches to attract people that would otherwise shy away from Christian services. Revd Male has been involved in the Fresh Expressions movement for some 20 years and has seen the importance of these churches grow significantly, with national research from the UK finding plenty of encouraging data.
Within 11 years, we're now finding that 10% of all people going to church, a Church of England church, are going to these kind of fresh expressions, and that 15% of all churches, church communities in the Church of England are fresh expressions, which is remarkable in 11 years. And I think probably the most exciting statistic for us, and I'll be honest, something that surprised us, is that 75% of people going to those fresh expressions of church are from outside church. And I think we're not exactly sure why this is connecting, but there is something about it which seems to connect with people and, to use the Hackney phrase, kind of meets them where they are and is helping them as they begin to explore who Jesus is and what he might mean to them.
One example of how successful such approaches can be comes from one of Revd Male's students at the Anglican Theological College in Cambridge. She began by meeting other mums in a school playground in a difficult area, discussing their troubles with 2 or 3 other Christians. The casual meeting developed into a fixed meeting time on Friday mornings, and from there they began to explore more about Christianity and had opportunities for prayer.
And over the next 4 or 5 years, probably 30 or 40 of those people began to become followers of Jesus as they explored faith, but also found help and healing and transformation in their lives. But the interesting thing with this is it doesn't just stop there. So they began to say, hey, this is fantastic, but what about our children? They're at school, they can't come to this. And what about our partners? They probably aren't going to come to this. So they then began something on a Saturday afternoon, which is much more intergenerational, which they use a local youth club for. And they've now got over 100 people coming to that.
Yet even with this level of success, Revd Male says fresh expression churches are no quick fix, and that the future of the faith lies in a mixed economy.
Nobody here is saying, oh, we just need to get dumped traditional church. But what we're saying is we need both traditional church and these new forms of church. And actually they need each other. So the new form of church is always informed by the tradition, because the questions we're asking are not new questions. But also we're finding more and more that the traditional church is also revitalised by these new forms of church. The big thing I'd want to say to people is that this is fresh, not new. And that's a really important distinction. And that in a sense, this is part of a missionary movement that has gone on for the last 2,000 years. I would want to argue that the Gentile church in Acts is the first ever fresh expression.
The Pioneer Learning Intensive was organised to capitalise on these fresh approaches, bringing together a small group of Australians who have tried pioneering approaches to ministry so that they can learn from one another. By hearing about how others have adapted to the context of their communities, Revd Male hopes that each may be better equipped to approach their own challenges and opportunities.
The danger, I think, has been is that we've almost locked ourselves into our building from which we shout out, come and join us. And we now realise we need to join them and begin to discover church and create church in those kind of places.